Hello, everybody. Today we are going to be going over the content creation, the CMS side for the agent subdomains. Now, on my screen, you'll see that I do have a test site up here, which is a test subdomain that I created for an agent. Now, I'm going to just start from the basics. I'm just going to sign out here and start from logging in. Now, if you have a agent account and you have an agent subdomain, you don't have to log into two separate accounts. You're just going to be logging into the one, which makes it easier. You don't have to remember different codes. You don't have to have a toggle to switch back and forth. Now, when we open this up, this is going to be the dashboard, but today we're going to go over more of the content side. So up in the top right-hand corner, if you click the hamburger icon, you're going to see these 6 options here. Now, the one that we want is content. This is going to be the actual website builder. Now, over here, you're going to see that this is the main content page. We have various options on the left-hand side here with pages, snippets, navigation, posts, comments, and tools. And depending on what device you're using, if you're using a tablet or a phone, this is going to be responsive. So you can use this on the go. It doesn't have to be on a laptop or a desktop, which gives you a little bit more freedom if you want to edit something quickly or create a blog post on the go. Now, to start here, we are going to see up here all pages. This is all the pages on your agent subdomain. By default, you are set to pages for the sub community or sub view. Now, the list here are all the pages that are on your website, starting with home page and then going down with the 404 page, which you don't want to get rid of. It's just the default one, about, area, sub 1, sub 2. And these are all, some of these are just test pages that are provided as a example. You can go in there and see how they're created and edit them from there. So to get back into this here, we do have the home page here, which is what I want to start with, is that's going to be your main page that you are going to be setting up. That's the first thing people are going to see. So if we click on this here, we are going to see kind of an idea of what the page is going to look like, because this is using what's called the WYSIWYG editor. That's this part right here. What the WYSIWYG editor is, what it means is what you see is what you get. In a basic terms, what you type in here, what you are seeing is how it's going to look on the front end. However, there is going to be additional items like the background feature, the search bar, the footer, but for the actual content section, that's what this is going to be here. And to get an example of what that looks like, I'm going to click here where it says your website, and this will give you a quick link to look at the front end. Now, as this loads, we'll have a background photo here I added in, and we'll go over that in a second. We have a search bar, and then that part that I said was in the WYSIWYG editor is right here. So as it looks here compared to there, very similar. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to know coding, you don't have to know HTML to build a page. Now, the options are there for you to go in and use a source editor if you're familiar with that, and then you can build up on that. However, you don't have to. We've built this so that it can be easy to use and easy to display on the front end. Now, going back here, you're going to see up here, this is the title. The title is important, as that is what Google and other search engines are going to find. It's the page title for the website. Now, when you look up at the very top of your browser, you're going to have tabs for whatever page you're on. And that up here is actually going to display the page title. So that's important to have that relevant to what is, maybe it's going to be your name, what office you're in, that kind of idea, just so that search engines find that as original content and not leaving it as a default that it's provided as. Next, we have here what I was mentioning, the WYSIWYG editor. This is very easy to use. If you want to type text in there, just click where you want to type. It places it in there. Say you want to make this a bigger font size. You go up to where it says formats right here, and you can choose heading 1. I had that in the same paragraph there, so let me just get rid of that. This one here is a heading 1. So heading 1 will make it so it's bigger on the page, as we saw on the front end display. Usually you don't want to have too many heading 1s, as again, search engines are looking for that as the main title of the page. You will have other options of heading 2, 3, 4, and that's going to limit this or shrink the size down. If you don't want to have a heading, if you've already done one, just click this again. We'll see a gray bar beside to the left of heading 1. Clicking that shrinks the text down to what's called paragraph text. Now the rest of the formatting options, you have bold, emphasis, strike through, so italics bold, strike through, block quote. If you put an image in there, you can do image right and left. And what that's going to do is place the image to the left and have the text floating beside it. So very important to use that one. Now, next to that, we have just the alignment to the text. Very simple to use, kind of like a word editor. You can create bullet lists. You can create numbered lists. If you want to insert a link, so for example, let's grab this word this, click Insert, Edit Link, the little chain link there. And you can type in whatever web address you want this to go to. So for example, let's go google.com. Text display, you don't want to change that because that's what you've highlighted. Link list, right now there isn't one because that'd be if you create an anchor through the code. And target is, do you want this to pop up in a new window or stay in the same window? So this is important if you're bringing people away from your site. Try to do new window because you'd never really want to make someone close a window for your site. Next, we have the anchor link. If you wanted to place an anchor, what an anchor does is if you click, for example, we had this, we click that, and it brings someone down to the bottom of the page. So if we do an anchor, you just type in this. Now we'll see right here, there's a little anchor sign. And if I highlight this now and click Insert Edit Link, I'm going to do this. So that's anchors. Insert Edit Image is another easy one to use. If we click this here, you're going to see the source. You're not really going to type anything in there. What you are going to do is click looks like a magnifying glass over, it is a magnifying glass over a file folder. Clicking that there is going to open up what's called the Moxie Manager. This is where you upload all your files or photos into. This is important to use because it will store your photos for you, and you can easily put them on other pages or blog posts or even emails when you're dealing with the leads themselves. Now to do that, you just click Upload, Add Files, and it's going to bring up options to put in a photo. I'm just going to use the demo image I used there for the agent account. You click Upload at the bottom, 100%. You close it, you'll see the check mark, Insert, and then you'll see the dimensions there. Insert, and there we go. Now that photo is a little too big that I had uploaded. Now next, with this here, I also just wanted to go over, if you ever need to do quick managing of this or editing, you can click the Manage button up here. You can cut, copy, view, edit, download this to your computer again. You can delete it. Clicking Edit will give you some options to resize, crop it, and then change some filters for it. Next one, Insert Edit Video. If you're doing this, you're going to want to click the Embed button here. Now the embed is when you're going to get a code from YouTube or Vimeo or wherever it may be, and with that code they give you, you place that in here, and it's going to embed that video onto the WYSIWYG editor here. And the last option on the WYSIWYG editor is the source code. Clicking this, you're actually going to see all of the code for the page. Everything you see there is actually coded. So if you are familiar with this and you want to get a little bit more in depth, do a little bit more of coding with it, there is this option here where you can get a little bit more into it here. Now, On the right-hand side, keywords and description. These are for meta information. Keywords, you're not going to have to get into too much because search engines really don't use these anymore. It's been, I think, almost 5 years since Google stopped using them. A couple of the other ones may pick them up here and there. We give the option just because a lot of people are familiar with it, or they do have it on their old sites, so it is an option, but it's not a essential for SEO. Description, that is still used by some, and that's where you're just going to give a brief page description. Now, the important thing with the description, when you're on a Google search result and you see your page title, which is up here on the result, then there's a little bit of text below it. That's going to be the description. So it is important to put something in there, as it will be grabbed by search engines for display purposes, but maybe not ranking. Now, the preview image. Preview image is, say you're going to be placing this page. It doesn't have to be the home page. It could be any other page or a blog post, and you're going to be putting that on Facebook or social media. When you do that, it always displays a preview image. If you don't place a preview image here, it's just going to look for an image on your website or on that screen. So placing one here is a good way to make sure that Facebook or the other social media programs pick the photo that you want. And then you have the option to use the main site's default Google ad, or you can have your own Google ad code in here if you unselect that. Down here, page footer. Something important to note about page footer. Whatever is on the home page footer, this one here, will be the same for every other page unless you edit another page's page footer, which I'll get into next in the next screen. But this here will show up in the very bottom. Down here it says sitemap. If you want to add more links, you can definitely add those in. Now back to here. If you're doing the pages here, because this is a home page, you want this to be the subdomain cover page. If you were doing another page, it'd be content or seller, and these would just change up the way it works. For the home page, definitely you want the subdomain cover page, because that gives you the options. For example, the photo up top here with the image on the right with the search bar. Now, scrolling down here, I'm going to show you here you have the background options. Background is going to be the main feature, like you saw the photo there. So you have the photo, slideshow, YouTube video, panoramic photo, 360 photo. For a photo there, you just simply click the plus sign here and grab what image you want. If it is a slideshow, you have this here, slide 1. Click that, you add your image. And then if you wanted to add another image, you go add slide, add another image, open it, save it, and however many slides you have is going to be the slideshow. YouTube video, you're going to get what you're going to put in here is actually the direct link to the page. You're not going to get the embed code. It's going to be the YouTube page. So you just grab that YouTube page, you place that in here, and then you have the option of either muting or not. If the video is not muted, mobile phones will block the autoplay, just to let you know. And then panoramic photo and 360 photo, same thing. You're just going to pick a photo from your local computer or phone and upload it to this page. Now the tint overlay here, this is going to be, if we look here, it's a little bit darker. Now if I were to go top half and save that, and we refresh, it just lightens up the overlay. So the top here is a little bit darker now than the bottom. If I were to go down here now and just do framed, just the frame, and it's very slight there, but definitely you can tell the frame there is overlaid with a shadow effect. Now down here we have the foreground. You do have it is the only option there is the IDX search, and that's what you see right there. However, below that you have the option to do text alignment left, center, or right, because you have the option to add a pre-heading, heading, and an intro. And I'm just going to add a little bit of text in here. And we're going to save this. And we're going to look at the front now and see where this goes. So the first one there in the red text is going to be, if we scroll down here, that is the pre-heading. Then the heading and the intro are the next two. So pre-heading, heading, and intro. So you can add 3 different layers of text on there. And again, with the alignment, we can go text alignment, we go left, we save that. We go back to this page, we refresh it, we'll see the text is now on the left. We go down here and we have the alignment, is it left, center, or right? Let's go right. We'll see this is now moved to the right. And one last option, if we do the actual vertical alignment and we do bottom, now that has moved down to the bottom of the feature photo. So a little bit of option depending on what photo you're doing. If you want to highlight an area or just kind of make so something's not blocked, you can definitely move that around. The fact that you have the option here to kind of customize that is an option for you to really make it your own, add in your own text, make it relevant for yourself. And by default, if you have your agent photo attached to your agent account and you're using the agent subdomain here, and you have a feature photo or video, this image is going to show up there. Now that is the basics of the home page editor. Getting familiar with it, getting used to it is important, and the more you use it, the more comfortable you're going to get. Now I just want to go over a quick option here of creating another basic page. So if we look here, back to the pages screen, you have a couple options to create a page. Either in the top right, we have a plus sign here, or we can click in the top left where it says add new, and you can click page. Now again, page title, that's going to be important for the SEO. You give it a page title, you put your content in here, and the page footer, as I mentioned before, if you don't put anything here, it's just going to have what's in the home page. If you do put text in here, it's going to overwrite the home page setting. Now down here we have the content, so I'm just going to create a page here just to show you. Now, if we have down here, we have show on navigation off and show CMA CTA. So show on navigation would be if you have a page that has navigation displayed on the left or right, you can see the breakdown of it. So this is a main page and then it has 4 pages under it. I'm just going to select this as on, and we're going to say show CMA CTA as on. Now content page, this is what you're doing for a normal page. It's not a subdomain cover page unless you wanted to have another page with the feature photo. But if you just want to do a basic page, you can do content here. In the top right, we have page level. What this means is this a, think of it as a parent page, and then the other ones are child page. So you have the parent page, which is the main folder, and then you can have sub pages of this one. Or if you click here, you can make this a sub page of contact, for example, or buying. Now, as file name alias, this is what's going to show up. If we do this here, this is actually what's going to show up in the URL. This is the file name for it. So you can't do capitals. Any spaces you do, as you see, are going to be hyphenated. Because it's a URL, a URL won't accept, the web address won't accept capitals or hyphens, or spaces. Sorry. So we're going to do this. Now, link name, if you have navigation on, this will show up on the front end as the page link. So as I mentioned, on the left or right side, there will be the drop down of pages that this is in. That's the text that it will show. Just one moment there. someone did just mention if you can place combine snippets and text on the homepage WYSIWYG editor. Yes, that is definitely an option. We're going to get into snippets there in just a bit, and snippets are something that you can add to pages. They're a little bit separate. When you add a snippet, you're just going to see the name of the snippet on the WYSIWYG, but it will be combined with the editor. We'll go over that in just a bit here. Now, hiding from navigation and hiding from sitemap here, this is what I mentioned with the side navigation. If you hide this, it won't show up. Hiding from sitemap means this page won't be crawled or seen by any SEO or search engines looking for your website. So if there's a page you really don't want to show up on Google, hide that from sitemap if it's just, not private information, but it's just not a page that needs to be broadcasted to Google. Now I'm just going to save this one here. And up in the top right here, after you've created a page, you're going to have the 3 dots here. You can have either copy or view. Copy will just make a copy of the page with a new name, and view makes you see it on the front end. And just before I get to that, for the optimal size for the front page image, I don't have it offhand right now. I do have it written down in one of my files here, which I can send to Paul after this, and he can hand that out. But we definitely do have a recommended size. Like I said, I just don't have it easily accessible at the moment. So now if we click view here, we're going to see the page that I just created. Now, as I mentioned, this was a sub-page. I made this a sub-page of buying. So we see now that was the, as I said, navigation on the right there. On the back, when we had the show CMA CTA, yes or no, or on or off, that's what we have right here. The text is here, and then also the branching of the pages here. So to home, buying, text. This is nice for users on the site to go back and forth to the pages they were on. Now, so that's just how to create a basic page there. As you see, it doesn't have the home page image there. What it does have now is the white header on the top with the logos, or the text for the navigation, and the logo on the left. And to answer one of the questions here, to how to align photos with text in the body, I'm going to show that here. And we're going to go to the home page. So we have some text in here. I just want to make sure. Okay. Okay. Don't want to mess up the home page too much, so I'm going to go back to that test one I had. Let's just go insert edit image. I'm going to put this photo in there. I shouldn't have used that photo. It's too big of a photo. Let me resize that. Something I'm going to have to look into, but the image shouldn't be showing this large here. As it is. Here we go. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to put the text at the bottom here. I'll get to that, look into that after here. But if we look at the image here, and we go formats, and we go image left. We save this here. The image did go to the 200 I set, and by choosing image left, it makes it so the text wraps around it. Now going back here, if I go formats and I go image right instead, I save this, and I refresh. Did I not save it? Here we go. Get rid of image left, and put image right on. I'm sorry, I don't know what I did wrong here. All right, so we have that there. Now let's go back to this. Upload the image. We're going to make this image right. Same thing, we save it. I apologize about this. Might be just something on my computer end here, but I'm definitely having an issue getting it to go to the right-hand side. So, moving on from that one there, we're going to get into the snippet side of things here. Before actually we get into that, I do want to cover how to delete a page. So that test one that I did here at the very bottom, very simple. If you want to delete it, at the far right-hand side, we click delete, push OK, there we go. And you'll have always at the top there, you have a confirmation that the page has been deleted. So having that confirmation just lets you know that'll be gone. Now on the left-hand side here, snippets. Snippets are an interesting piece because what they are is adding a block of code that is contained. Some of them are pre-built for the website, so you don't have to build them out and go in there too much. But if you do want to build your own, you definitely have the option of creating a snippet. Snippet's going to have HTML, inline CSS, so you can use this to really, if you really want to add a little bit more to your web page, or for example, some people will have embedded a video instead of using the one that's built onto the WYSIWYG. They might just want other code attached to it for different autoplay, other options like that. They can use that code and put it into a snippet by clicking up here, the plus sign, and in here we'll go whatever the code may be, HTML. Once you create it, you get something that looks like this here, where you have the name of it, and then this is the actual snippet code. Now placing this snippet code onto a page is what will create the content on the page. For example, UI styles here. If I look at UI styles, it's built into the system, but if we copy this here, UI styles, and we go to pages, and we just go to form snippets here, we save this, and this is actually a good example of what a snippet does, because these are the form snippets. And if we view this page now, for example, this is the # form approve #, and this is what it looks like. As we go down, we have form buyers. This is the information there. At the very, very bottom, I added in the one, which is the UI styles, which is right here. So it's showing you the buttons, the forms, and the notices here. So adding a snippet, which you don't really see anything on this WYSIWYG editor, puts the content onto the page. So definitely adding the snippets onto a WYSIWYG editor is, like putting them both together, is possible and is mainly what they're meant for. However, there are some that are built in, which is footer column 2, 3, the site address, site business name, site email, site logo you can't edit, that's going to be the default one for the site navigation, phone number, and social links. Now, the majority of these, except for one of them, are all going to show up at the very bottom of the website. So, for example, the site email address is this one right here. Site phone number is what shows up here and at the very top of the page. up top of the navigation actually. And then we have, so we went over the site phone number, and if we just click on this one here, you'll see this is the phone number. Now you don't have to be familiar with coding to really do a lot of this, as long as you kind of get an idea where if something's in brackets, that usually means that's part of the code and it's not being displayed. For example, this here, this is the phone number that if someone clicked it, the system would dial, the browser or their phone. And this here is the actual text that displays. So if you want to change that, what shows up down here, that's the text right here. And this is the number that it actually dials. Now, going back to the snippets here, we did the site phone number. I'll get into site navigation last. Site email was the bottom one. And again, this one here is pretty simple. You just put in the email address. You don't need any coding. And then we have site business name and site address. These two here, this is going to be the site business name right here. So generally, if it's going to be your office name. And then down here is the office address. Going up, we do have the footer column 2 and 3. Now these are going to be a little bit more coding, more if you look at it, more HTML. So I'm going to look at footer column 2. And we see there is a bunch of code here. And we see the contact real estate there. We see about, listings, and contact. Now to get an understanding of what this is, these ones here are technically outside of the brackets here, the less or greater than. And if we go here, that's what we see the text as, about, listings, contact. Now if you wanted to change those, you would change this one to test. And we save that. We now refresh, and you'll see the text has changed. For these ones, it's a little bit different. And you're going to see the about part here. And I'm just going to put in test 2. However, now we see this here, this in quotations a / about.php. This part here is actually the link that it's going to. So understanding how all these A-class, nav, all that, you don't need to know. That's just how the system displays it. Knowing what's in the H or in the quotation after the words href means this is the page after the .com. So if we were to just copy this right now or look at the page on the front and click about here, we'll see after the .ca there, we have / about.php. And we look here, / about.php. And that's the file name alias that I discussed earlier that you give a page. So if you gave that page, page-1, it's going to turn it into / page-1.php. You never have to add the .php. The system does it on its own, as that is the communication language or the web language used to display and build the pages. Now, the only part that's a little bit trickier, and by that I mean it's not really hard, it's just getting used to it, is say we wanted to have more than just 1, 2, 3 links that we see here. The about, listings, contact. We want to have a 4th one there. How do we do that? Well, we go from this line right here. So it's 3 lines with the link being in the middle. So the li class with the one that has the / li. You copy these, you paste that under, and if I were to save this right now, refresh, we'll now see we have 4 lines there. And again, you would change whatever the text is for this one and the link of the web page. So a little tricky at first, but once you get the hang of it, a lot of it's just copy and paste and knowing what your pages are called. Now, if you ever make a mistake and, it's not looking good down there, maybe you took out one of these here, one of those there, and you saved it, and we look at the front now, and it's all wonky now, and you can't click on some of them. How do I fix that and you don't know which code is gone? Down here, if this is a pre-built one for the system like this, you go to revert this snippet, you push OK. It'll give you a little warning to make sure, are you sure you want to do this? and now it's back to what it was before, or what it's originally at. Now, if we go down to footer column 3, it's the same thing for the info and services. Info and services there. Now by coding, the and gets the ampersand symbol there. You will notice that sometimes it's just code language. If you put it in there as info, the and symbol, it's still going to show and, just adds a little bit of code sometimes. And again, same thing, if you want to add another one in there, you go from the li class to the what's called the closing li. You paste that in there, and then you have the new link there. Now, anytime you try to leave, it is going to, if you don't save your changes, do you want to leave the site? Changes you made may have not been saved. I'm just going to push leave, but it's good to know that when you do that, I will let you know that you haven't saved. The last one to go over is an important one. It's the site navigation. So I'm going to click that here, and I'm going to go to the home page. And we're going to see up here we have home, listings, sell my home, blog, contact. All of that there is decided by this site navigation. Again, this is a lot of the same code you saw before. It is going to be a little bit different for this one, and I'll try to explain it as best I can. Now, the first one we see is home. Now, one second there. For the YouTube image, and the question here, the YouTube image used when editing the social media snippet, that is something that actually at the moment we are working to add into the vision sites here. Currently right now the ones that we see here are the ones that are available. YouTube just wasn't, the icon's not in the system yet, but it is a high priority and should be rolling out rather soon here. And then it'll be very similar to this. They just haven't built the icon right here. We have the assets here. It's not in the image folder quite yet, but it is being worked on. Now for the site navigation, we do have over here, the home one here is a line of its own. So very similar to what we saw before. If I were to just copy this, paste that in, click save, refresh, we now have home and home. Now because this is home, just / for the link, because there is nothing after the .ca, so just the /. And every time you ever do that, if you ever want to create a link to the home page, just create the link as / and it will take users to the home page. Now it gets a little bit trickier down here where we have sell my home. So up here we had, just as example, the li class nav item, so a navigation item. And then we closed it with this / li. But down here we have sell my home, which on the front has a drop down. So this is where it gets a little bit trickier. Not too much. Again, copy and paste. You have one here. This was when I turned on this subdomain, this is already in here. So use this as an example. So say you wanted to have another one that had the drop down. What I would do is go to the bottom, the li bottom, go up to where it says ul class drop down. You copy this, Control-C, and let's say we want to make blog have one. Well, because I copied the li, and again, you don't have to copy the li, I'm actually going to disregard that. Let's go back up here and start from ul and go up to the ul. So keep it simple. This is something that these blocks of code is different from what we see up here, where it's just one line. So if we copy this now, and I want to put it under blog, so I go right below the blog text, and I go Control-V to paste that in. Now we have a drop down, and it's saying drop down item instead of navigation item. So navigation item or link, that's going to be the main button. Drop down item allows us to have a drop down. I click save, we refresh. Now blog and sell my home have the same drop down, and to change those you'd go back in here, change whatever the text is in here to test 1, test 2, and say I want this one, go to the home page. I save this now. So in the quotations, I put the page I want to go to. In here, I put the page that, or the text I want displayed. So we refresh now. Under blog, we have test 1, test 2. If I click test 2, just kept me on the home page. Test 1 brought me here. Test 2 brought me there. So with that, very, very easy to use. And again, maybe you made a mistake in there. You want to revert it to what it was in the very beginning. You do have the revert snippet button down here. And the last snippet to go over, did just mention it with the YouTube, but the social media links here, social links. This is where it's going to show up down at the bottom here, your social media icons. Now, to use these, very simple. You don't need to change anything except the address in the quotations. It's very similar to what I discussed over the other snippets that you're editing. You just put the URL in there. Now, this one needs the full website, www everything, because it's not going to a page on your site. When it's a page on your site, it's just / and whatever that page is, because it's saying / tells it on my website, and then the link for it. This here is telling them I want to go to a different website with the whole HTTPS, www, everything in there takes it to a new page. So that's the basics of CMS snippets. Now, there is an extra part of it where, a big part of it, you want to put listings onto your page. So if we go to snippets here in the top left, we click that there, we click IDX. IDX snippets are a little bit different. You're not going to be coding them. You're going to be setting search parameters to place listings onto a page. So for example, I'm going to go to the top right here and click plus. So add new IDX snippet. And up here we have snippet title. I'm just going to call this one, because this is going to be the heading for it. So my listings. And we're going to give this a snippet name is something that users won't see. This is what's giving it the # snippet name #. So I'm going to call this IDX1. Now down here is where we actually have the search parameters. This is where you're setting, okay, these are what listings, within this parameter, these are the listings I want grabbed to display on the page. And I'm going to show an example of one for city. If we click this gear icon, the gear icon is actually going to bring up the cities that you can choose from. Now, within these here, I'm just going to choose, for example, go Calgary. And okay, I got Calgary in there. And we're going to go to property type here, and we click the gear again, and we have these options here. Okay, I only want to have multifamily and single family properties. Price range, I want to have from $450 to $550 there. Now, if that's not enough for you there, and that's not enough options for the ones that are defaulted there, you go into here and you go add a panel. Now, add a panel allows you to add additional search options like you see here. So I'm going to click this here, and you have options like polygon, radius search, search and bounds. These are map search, which I'll get to in a second. Subdivision. Subdivision is going to be neighborhood. So, for example, it's different in every MLS board, to be honest. Subdivision will be, 1 second there. Subdivision is going to be a neighborhood in most areas. So what that means is you're going to have, it's hard to explain because again, it is different in each MLS board. In your area, it might be neighborhood, it might be subdivision or sub area. Clicking that there, if you push add, click the gear icon. If you start typing in there, it's going to actually find areas for you. So I wanted Garden Hill. Well, there we go. We got Garden Hill right there. Click that there. Now, other options you can do by postal code, MLS number, address, property subtype, reduced price, and going down the list here, you have these options. Say you want to do one for your own listings, you can do by your agent ID. Something to keep in mind with the subdivision, something I didn't mention is we do Garden Hill here. It doesn't mean you have to do one. You can type multiple in there, and it's very similar for if you were doing postal code. Go to postal code, and let's add that in there. We click the gear icon. I'm not going to actually have a real one. It's not going to auto-populate this one. You're going to have to know. But if you put a comma, space, go on that way there, you will be able to add multiple postal codes for a search, allowing you to maybe restrict it to just certain areas of the city or rural area or wherever it may be that say I only want this postal code. Now I'm going to get rid of the subdivision there, and I'm going to have the price range, property type, city, and location that I selected. We're going to go into map next after I just show a demo of this. Results per page, that's how many listings you want to show up on that one page or the one snippet display. If it has more than 12 listings, it'll just have a button saying next page, and it can go on that way. I recommend not having too many more than 12, as people on your page, they don't want to, especially on a phone, they're going to have to scroll through that, and too many of things on one page might just pull someone away. Sort results by price, highest first, lowest first, or newest listings first. You can set whether or not the map is open or closed by default on the page. And then you can also have the option to show price range links, yes or no. I'm going to set to yes and open just to show you, or close, and then show you what these are. So now we have this. Let's save this. And right up here, we now see ID # IDX1 #. And I'm going to go back now to content and pages. Let's go to the home page. Actually, no, I'm going to create a new page altogether and call this listings 1, listings 1. And right in the page here, I put the # IDX1 #. I save this, and I go up here to view it. And now what do we see? We see those listings that match those search parameters. So between 400 to 500 and then 500 to 600,000 there, we have these listings. Now, if you had a wider search range, you'd have a lot more price. These are the price range links here that I set to yes. You'd have more options there. If there was 12 properties found, it'd show the 12 with an arrow at the bottom to go to the next page. And this is how it's kind of going to look. The heading I gave it is shown there. It's just an easy way, especially if you're creating community pages. You want to highlight on a subdivision or a community, something in that regards. You definitely can create these IDX snippets. Easy to use, easy to create, and you place them on the page. Now over here we have show map. I set it to closed, and it is displaying closed by default. If you want, you can have it set to open as well. Now going back here, something I also wanted to show is if we go back to IDX1, I want to get rid of, I'm just going to get rid of city altogether, property type, price range, and what I want to do is I want to do a polygon search here. So let's add the polygon search. And let's zoom out here, find out where we are. Now let's see, there's Edmonton there. Let's go down to Calgary. I was using that one as an example. And a polygon tool is going to be a nice way for you to really define what area you want if it's not per se something you can type in or find that way. If you want an actual area. So I can click here, and you're just clicking with your mouse and you'll see the dots that you're drawing with. And when you go all the way around and connect to the first dot, that will highlight. And you can zoom in to get more. And if we're going to edit here, we can drag these out. You click and hold to use the map there. You drag these out. Now that's how you're going to create a polygon tool here. If we save this, and let's say I want map to be open, I save this, I refresh this page, show the map here. Oh, it's still loading. There we go. Now it's only going to find listings that are in this search area. So very useful, very helpful if you really want to just narrow down your results to a set area. And I just want to let you know too, it does say there's 656 properties. That is because, and we're only seeing a few dots, it's only showing the dots that are on this page. And as you go through the next page here, the dots will change up. So that's really the basics of creating the pages, creating the content, creating the listings. Getting used to that is going to be important. Beyond that, for the content creation, you do have the posts here, which is going to be your blog entries. And when I look at a blog entry here, they are very similar to creating a page. So you have the option to create a title of the page. You have the body using the WYSIWYG editor and the same formatting tools as you do to create a page. Only difference is at the bottom here, we have a couple different options. Tags. For example, if you are you're creating a blog that has, I'm trying to think here. Oh, just a question here. Let's take a look. Yes. So before I get into that, let's go over the My Listings, how to connect that to the homepage dropdown. So if we go up here, and that's going to be at the okay. So up here, by default, clicking listings right now just takes you to the full IDX search. But if we want to go here, no. Now, Kevin, are you meaning to have that go to a page that has an IDX snippet with the IDX snippet created for just your own listings, or the one that I just created there? Okay, so we got the My Listings here. Yeah, I can show you that how we can link that page. So we go over here. We have the listings one page here. So we've now all seen what this page looks like. We know that has the listings on it, that with the polygon search I created. How do you get this to link somewhere, for example, up at the top there? So a couple options we could do here. If we go to snippets and we go up to back here and we go to CMS snippets and we go to site navigation. Now, to keep in mind, the page I gave this was listings-1.php. So we go in here, and you have two options. You can either make it so when you click listings, this goes to that page there. So we can go /listings-1.php, or we could do something similar with the drop down. where, as I mentioned before, you copy and paste the drop-down text. And I only want to have, let's just say, one in there. And I want this one to be my listings. So either way, it's probably best because the IDX is a wide search there, that if you're going to be using it, just doing the one where you have the listings one. I'm going to show both ways as well. And we're going to go /listings one.php just to make sure also understanding how to create these drop downs. Okay, so now that I've saved that, we have listings and my listings. So either way, if I click listings now, it goes to that page I created, but I also made it so the drop down, I click my listings and it goes down to the drop down as well. So that's how you're going to be linking the pages that you create. So you create them, you give them the file name alias, which you see up top here. If you ever don't know, just look at the page and copy everything after the .ca. And then in the actual snippet itself, in the quotes is that page you go to, and this is the text that will display at the top. So that's kind of how you link together what you've created to what you want to display. Now, for the post section here, as I was mentioning, very, very similar to creating a page. The tags is a little different. What tags do is, say you have one blog with a tag that is real or sellers. You have another blog that has a tag that is buyers. Great. So now you have one with buyers, one with sellers. But now you create another one and you put a tag of sellers in there. At the bottom of the blog is going to be, and I'm going to show you here, so sellers. We're going to call this test 3. And I'm just going to save this now. And I want to click the eyeball up here to view it. And great. So I have the blog here. And where did it go? Well, I don't have more than one. So let's create another one now. Okay, so add a new one, and we're going to call this test 4. And let's call this one seller. Oh. And just to make sure we have that, and I go back to the other one. When I view this now, we're going to see the tag at the bottom. What this means is multiple blog posts with the seller or with the tags. It means you can click that and see everything with that tag. So it's just an easy way to group things together, allowing you to make all these different types of blog posts, but when someone clicks on that little tag, it brings them to a list with all the similar entries. Now below, related links, this is going to be for the link title, link URL. So I'm just going to put Google and then published, yes or no. So if you don't want to publish this right away, when I created it, I clicked yes, but when you create it, make sure to go down. If you're still just working on it, you want to do a draft, go to publish no. That way it's not going to show up to the public. And then meta information, keywords, description is the exact same as I discussed for creating a page. That's the SEO areas. Keywords, not so much used anymore. Description will be the description on a Google result. And then preview image is again for social media. Important if you want to display a certain image. Plus, choosing this image will be, if you do the right dimensions, it will look better on Facebook than it just grabbing a page on that you've placed on your blog post or on your page. So if I save this one again, oh, you do need the full HTTP or PS. Now if I view this one, we have related links, Google. This is the text I put in there. These are the tags. So definitely something you can add a little bit more to and customize yourself. I'm just going to get rid of these posts here. And that's where you can add a little bit more it's good for search engines if you have more blog posts, that kind of idea. Comments, if someone comments on your blog post, it won't show up until you approve it. And then the only other items is under tools here, conversion tracking. Say you wanted to have, you'd have to have certain like codes, for example, AdWord codes for Facebook or Google, whatever it may be. But this just makes it so that you can add these codes onto these certain areas. So when someone registers on the IDX page or they inquire about a listing inquiry, showing requests, they fill out any of the forms on the website. If you have this enabled, it will allow your Facebook tracking or your Google tracking to get a little bit more information. It's not something I can get too into just because it is usually using third-party tracking codes that I'm not too familiar with setting up. But once you get the code from them, you just place it in here. And that is the basics of the content creation. One item I didn't go over, let's see here, the navigation. Now the CMS navigation, this is just kind of for you to see what pages are where and how you can rearrange them. So maybe you wanted other pages under subpages. Definitely this is just a drag and drop area like this for if you were using, what's it called, the side navigation bar. But generally, with the way it is, if you just do the content page there, the way you label them is going to organize them as well. So that's, again, the basics of the content creation. Is there any questions? I do want to say, there is, if you want to get a hold of support if you have any questions about when you're creating your pages, when you're creating these IDX snippets, our REW, the Real Estate Webmasters team, has an amazing support team. And I actually myself I used to be part of that team there, and they're a really, really awesome team. If you want to call, they're there 7 days a week from 6 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. at night Pacific Standard Time. To email them, same thing, they're available at that time. It's going to be support@realestatewebmasters.com. Again, support@realestatewebmasters. And then also we do have a toll-free number, which is going to be give me a second here. Just got to make sure I don't give you the local one here so you're not getting charged. All right, so it's going to be 1-877-753-9893. So 1-877-753-9893, and they're going to help you out because sometimes you may have issues with the navigation if you make a mistake with the code, but give us a call and we'd be more than happy to help you out. All right, well, I think that's going to be the end of that there, and I hope you all had a great time and learned a lot from this, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.